Hey guys, welcome back to Quick Tech Talk. Today I'm going to be doing just a really short video on the X1 Carbon. I had made a full review. Unfortunately, a lot of the footage got lost, but I do have some of the footage left where I'm looking at the inside. So I'm just going to talk a bit about the features, some specs, and then I'll show you guys the inside of the laptop. Unfortunately, I can't make a remake of the review, but if I get my hands on another one, I'll do a more in-depth video. So basically, the X1 Carbon was originally the 7th generation. Was originally announced at CES earlier this year, I believe in January or February. It had a limited release in April, and then a full release in June. In February or April, when they had the initial release, it was just some limited configurations, so you couldn't spec out the machine. I think with 32 gigs of RAM and the privacy screen. There were a number of other options, but like I said, it had a full release in June. June or July, and then you could fully spec out the machine. So the machine that I'm looking at today, it was one of the ones released in April, has 8 gigs of RAM, the updated Intel 8 Whiskey Lake, 8 gigs DDR3, low power 2133. Said the chip is an i5-8265U. That's a 1.6 gigahertz, which turbo boosts up to 3.9 gigahertz. You can configure them up to the top i7, I think the 8665 or 8666. And like I said, in June or July, you could upgrade it to 32 gigs of RAM. I guess someone needs a thin and light laptop. Pretty great to have a 2.4 pound laptop with 32 gigs of RAM and an i7. So yeah, anyways, it's been a pretty good machine to use for the past few weeks. The weight's been pretty nice. It's very light, easy to carry around. For a 14-inch laptop, 2.4 pounds is nothing. Now they are offering a carbon fiber weave. I think that was one of the options that was limited until June, but yeah, you can get the carbon fiber weave. This particular model just has the the regular rubber like coating on the back lid. Other than that, yeah, it's been a pretty great laptop. Definitely, for anybody who needs a thin and light to travel around, because currently, I believe it is one of the thinner and lighter laptops available, unless you go with the Microsoft Surface Pro. But for a business laptop, it's fantastic. Anyways, let me show you the inside, and you can take a look. I show you how thin it is. It's pretty crammed inside. I'm pretty amazed what Lenovo's been able to do, but technology, everything keeps getting thinner. Battery life for me has been around 10-12 hours, but I think Lenovo says you can get up to around 15-17 hours. But usually I keep my brightness around 50%, 60%, no more. Wi-Fi on, and I am running a couple VMs usually, so yeah, keep that in mind with the 10-12 hours. But I'm not rendering video on it or doing any super heavy workloads all the time. A few times I've taxed it, but other than that, very light workloads. So yeah, anyways, let's get started. Okay, so here's the inside of the X1 Carbon. This is a 51 watt hour battery. I'm getting about 10 to 12 hours off of it. I only charge this about twice a week. I don't use it that often. I primarily use my desktop. There's your exhaust fan with it's a nice heat pipe. I haven't really tested the thermals too much on this unit, but the fan usually doesn't kick in, and I've done some pretty heavy workload, so if it has kicked in, I really don't notice it. There's your SSD. It's nice that it's upgradable, so if you did go with the base 256, this is something that you can upgrade in the future. Like I said, it'll take everything from SATA to NVMe drives. There's the Intel Wi-Fi chip. Like I said, it's soldered, so and the LTE is also soldered. So if you think you'll need the LTE in the future, definitely choose that as an option. Although it unfortunately only comes configured with I believe the higher end models, so keep that in mind. The RAM is soldered, so whatever you think you need for for 3 to 4 years. Try to plan for that, because if you choose the 8 gig model, it's not something you're going to be able to upgrade. So the safe bet's probably 16. Here's your two downward facing speakers, here and here. Yeah, there's not much to it. Everything's pretty crammed in here. I mean, when you consider the keyboard I believe has a 1.8 millimeter travel distance. So when you take that into account, let me open this. And, you take the key distance, and you look at the bottom. There really isn't much room for all the guts to sit in there. So, like I said, with the travel of the keys, it's pretty amazing what Lenovo's been able to do. The laptop weighs 2.4 pounds, which for a 14-inch laptop is absolutely nothing. Apple's the new MacBook Air weighs 2.75 pounds, and there's a 13-inch laptop. I'm not sure what the Dell XPS 13-inch weighs. I think that's around 2.7 or something as well. But yeah, nothing really comes close to the X1 Carbon. So this definitely retains Lenovo's well-renowned ThinkPad keyboard that everyone's always talked about. It's hands down one of the nicest keyboards to type on. And all the keys are backlit with about 3 to 4 light levels. One additional thing to mention regarding the sound, you can see the two speaker grills above the keyboard, and the two I showed underneath, and this is because it's the new 7th Gen X1's using a 4-speaker setup, which also supports Dolby Atmos. It's got a 400 nit IPS panel which supports 95% of the sRGB color range. Okay, welcome back. One thing I didn't mention in the beginning of the video or during the video was that Lenovo has updated the X1 Carbon 7th Gen again. Intel just released their 10th generation mobile CPUs. Ice Lake. It's based off the 10 nanometer process. So Lenovo is sticking those into the 7th Gen X1 Carbons. So if you are looking for one, try to get one with the updated CPU. They were supposed to be released Intel was releasing them in September. I think Lenovo is also going to be releasing them in September, maybe October. I haven't checked their website yet, but just keep an eye out for those. But then again, there isn't much difference in the specs. It is 10 nanometer, but it's 4-core, 8-thread, like for the i5 version anyways. 4-core, 8-thread, 1.6 gigahertz, 4.9 for turbo boost. Same UHD 620 graphics, so pretty much everything's the same except for the process is 10 nanometer instead of 14 nanometer, and yeah, there's not much difference. So I mean, because they're updating laptops, you might even be able to score a really good deal on the previous 8th Gen, because yeah, there's not much difference. So I believe there's also, with the 10th Gen, there might be some more hardware mitigations for Spectre and Meltdown vulnerabilities. But other than that, yeah, I mean, if you can score a deal on the earlier gen, that's what I would go with, definitely. Anyways, thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this short video. If I can get my hands on another X1 Carbon, then I'll definitely do a longer review. But hopefully I've been able to give you some insight what the inside looks like. And yeah, it's a pretty great laptop. Super thin, super light, 14-inch, 2.4 pounds. It's been great to test out. Anyways, thanks for tuning in. If you did like the video, please subscribe, like, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.